The Spin-off Podcast Network.
Are you making the most of your KiwiSaver investment? Generate is an award-winning KiwiSaver provider with a track record of strong long-term performance. Making a smart decision now could add tens of thousands of dollars by the time you reach retirement. Book a no-obligation chat with a Generate KiwiSaver advisor today at generatekiwisaver.co.nz/get-advice. A copy of the product disclosure statement is available at generatekiwisaver.co.nz. The issuer of the scheme is Generate Investment Management Limited, and of course, past performance does not guarantee future returns.
I'm Toby Manhire, and this is Juggernaut, the story of the Fourth Labour Government, a podcast in 6 parts.
Doesn't give my opponents much time to run up to an election, does it?
This nation is at risk.
What do you think you're up to now, you perverted little liar?
I could smell the uranium on it as you lean towards it.
There's a radical overhaul in the history of New Zealand's administration.
Juggernaut, the story of the Fourth Labour Government, made with the support of New Zealand On Air. Listen now on the Spin-off or wherever you get your podcasts. Kia ora tātou, this is Toby Manhire with another episode of your friendly local politics podcast, Gone by Lunchtime. What you're about to hear is part of the Gone by Lunchtime Megapod, a 12-hour epic event recorded on September 20 at Spin-off HQ. Enjoy. Tēnā koutou katoa, welcome back to the Spin-off Election 2023 Gone by Lunchtime Megapod. I say those words in different order each time I'm speaking. We're up to hour 9, and excitingly, we've got in the studio Ariana and Felix from Series 1 of Youth Wings. I know there's a lot of super fans of Youth Wings out there. Ariana Nafisi and Felix Poole, who were in our first series of Youth Wings. We've just had the second series playing now. The debate is coming on the Spin-off tomorrow. It was a good, fun debate. How are you both?
Really good, thanks.
Yeah? You don't seem totally convinced that you're really good. How are you, Felix?
The campaign's a lot of work, so I'm pretty tired, to be honest.
You are on the ACT list.
Yep. So I'm the ACT Auckland Central candidate. And
yeah.
I'm number 25 on the list.
Okay.
And so I've been, spending my time going around Auckland Central, talking to people, going to debates, and I'm enjoying it, but it's also very exhausting, to be honest.
What's the number that you need to get in for 25%? What, like 18%, 19%?
I think
maybe
it's
20?
Somewhere around 19%.
Yeah, okay.
I think it depends what the other parties get, because if a whole lot of parties get like 4.9%.
Come in on the yellow wave, magenta wave.
Yeah.
Sorry, just get that right. Ariana, you're not standing for the election.
No.
What are you up to at the moment?
I'm a campaign manager for one of our electorates, so that's really good fun. So still involved in the campaign trail.
Which one?
I'm the campaign manager in Tamaki.
Okay.
So that's my home electorate. I actually live on the shore now, but
okay.
So that also helping out some of my friends in the neighbouring electorates for like of Maungakea and Takanini.
Cool.
And, I'll get rung into some of the young Nat things to support them. So completely understand what Felix is saying. It is very tiring when I'm spending like a weekend putting up hoardings for the morning and getting on with other things. It takes it out of you when you've been working full-time for a week. So I'm working now, not at uni. Yeah.
It's got to be really tough in Tamaki as well right now.
Huh?
Yeah, so you guys are opponents in a way, sort of frenemies, really, aren't you? They're the enemies in Tamaki and friends in the future government, potentially, of New Zealand.
Yeah, I thought ACT were team players, but apparently not.
No,
but I don't know if that's also why we've got 6 people who were kicked out or something like that.
Oh wow!
Here we go. I just think Tamaki deserves a high quality of representative, and I think Brooke's doing a great job, and that's why she's doing so well in the campaign right now.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be friendly, but it's already getting good. I love it. Let's go. Before we get into the rest of the conversation, I'm asking everybody today 3 things. The first of which is to take a guess at what the turnout will be in the election on October 14. Most people are guessing sort of somewhere in the high 70s. The last election was 82%, but that was kind of crazy high. Do you want to go first, Felix? What's your guess? The prize is a box of chocolate fish, so take it very seriously.
I think it's difficult. My guess would be that turnout would be lower this year, and so I'd probably say somewhere between 75 and 80. I'd say probably 76%, somewhere around there.
76%.
To give an exact number.
Yeah, all right, good. Ariana, you can go to 1 decimal point.
Has someone else gone to one decimal
Not telling.
point?
Yeah, everyone's going to a decimal point. Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say 76.5.
Yeah, okay, fine. Thanks. Ariana?
I was going to say 76.4, but I feel like that's too close to Felix.
All right.
I guess we're in tune on that one.
Just go for it. Second question, political TV show of choice, whether it's a bit of West Wing or Veep or House of Cards, one you'd take to a desert island?
The Thick of It.
Thick of It?
Oh, really?
Yeah, Thick of It.
Okay,
Yeah, I think that's great.
I agree with Thick of It. I've
Really?
actually only watched the first couple of episodes, but
Okay.
already a big fan.
That's enough. All right, okay, good. You should have said Youth Wings. It's that was you would have won a box of chocolates for that too. Mojo meter. This is the third and final question that we're asking everybody. Inspired by Christopher Luxon's interest in the question of the level of mojo in the country, which has been lost, as you know. I'm sure you're spreading this message on the doorstep, Ariana. Personally speaking, how is your mojo on a scale from 0, meaning no mojo, all mojo gone, to 10, teeming with mojo? Felix?
I think I'd probably say a 7.
Felix is a 7 on the mojo board. And Ariana?
9.
9. All right. 9 on the mojo meter. We'll have that updated for those of you who are following the high-tech graphics that we've got on the mojo meter out there. Hey, have you guys watched the new series of Youth Wings?
Of course.
Yes. Yeah? What do you think? What is it? So sort of, is it bringing back happy memories, mixed memories?
Yeah, I think happy memories, definitely like the UOA stalls. I wasn't there this year and I was like, I remember that. And I remember like thinking about what collateral is going to be like the new exciting stuff. I think we had retro sort of logo, retro national logo stickers. And then this year they had like the Live, Laugh, Luxon ones. So I think that brought back some memories for sure.
Yeah. I think this new season's great. It continues to have that like very, like genuine sort of capturing those very like strange moments that occur in politics, which I think is what makes the series so interesting. And you still get lots of those little moments, and so they're so much fun to watch.
One of the things I love in the new series is Ollie, who's the ACT candidate and a friend of yours, I think.
Yeah.
Is he on the list as well in the end in some ways?
Yes, he is on the list. Yeah, this electorate, I think, actually
his relationship with his father, who is a Labour supporter from way back and who has become almost a cult figure among some people watching it because he comes across so warmly. And the thing I love about it, I said this to you the other day, Felix, is that he clearly disagrees quite profoundly with his son and also loves his son a great deal. And that warms the cockles of my heart, Is that how is your tell me about your parents? I can't remember if it was in your episodes or not. And you in terms of politics and linking, are you all in the same stripe?
Yeah, my I guess my parents are definitely not ACT supporters.
Okay,
they're I think my dad voted for the Māori Party one year, and my mum votes Labour or Greens, and so there's definitely no political alignment there. But there's always quite a lot of political debate at the dinner table, and so that's what it was like for me growing up. But yeah,
and do they back you, support you as an ACT candidate of some time now?
In a personal as their son, yes. Politically, definitely not. Okay. But right. Still get lots of love.
What about you, Ariana?
I think so. Actually, my sister originally she liked another party. I'm not going to out her about it. And now she works for a national MP on the side of uni, which is quite funny. I think I roped her in a little bit, but she's loving it. She's really big on the environment, and the MP she does a lot of work with is also very big on the environment, so I guess a lot of synergies there. My parents, we had lots of political discussions at the table, and a lot of the time we weren't always arguing, we weren't always agreeing, so it was interesting that we do all align as a family, but we not on every single issue, and I think my parents might have become more political after I got involved and more engaged, at least my mother. My mum comes every day, she's like, whenever I see her, she's like, oh, did you hear this? I'm like, yes, but why are you keeping up to date with that?
So she's reading the things you're reading, so she's got something to have a conversation with you about.
I think that, but also just I think people are talking more about politics now too, maybe. I think maybe in the past people didn't really talk politics openly, but now a lot of her friends are talking about it too. And yeah, I've definitely seen a switch because she wasn't always engaged in that way.
How was it going back to 2020 and when you guys had an episode devoted to each of you, and then you both performed creditably in the debate. How was the feed? Were people nice to you? Were people dicks? Was there a mix of both? How was it?
I think there was definitely a mix of both. I've heard lots of people not like me. I go on to like a house party and had people like, I wasn't there to talk politics, but people have just come up and started arguing with me because they know that I'm like very associated with the party.
Right.
But
that's not because of the youth thing. It's just generally because
no, that's generally.
You're that act guy.
Yeah. But I think most of it's actually been like very positive and very encouraging, and people have been like very nice. So, yeah.
What about you, Ariana?
Yeah, I think people have been nice. It's kind of interesting. You meet people and we're like, I recognise you, or like we've watched the Youth Wing, something like Chicken or something like that. And I'm like, I was like, okay,
right,
people actually watch this. But which is quite cool. But then I think I definitely took away some resilience. The comment section on anything on Facebook can be a bit sometimes.
Right,
and I think that was good. But definitely, I think on the whole, brought it sort of liking it. And I just think what I think was good in general is that it did engage some young people more in politics, I feel. Felix,
no, I absolutely agree. I think it absolutely, it's definitely very helpful for getting young people involved in politics, Yeah,
and I think, my sense of it, having not been involved in the shooting of the episodes, is that Eddie and Nat and Sophie in the first series did really well to kind of, you could cut those things together to take the piss, right? Because you can cut together anything to take the piss, and you want to have a little bit of lightness. You want to have a little bit of those kind of moments that are awkward. But I think what they achieved is a kind of cope up or a spirit of sort of geniality or of something, and hopefully, I think people may disagree, but like if you look at some of the comments in the YouTube things, both the first time around and this, what I really love to see, I'm getting sentimental now, is where people from different political cultures, different political tribes say, oh, I quite like, that guy Keegan, even though I don't, New Zealand First is not for me at all, I admire that bit about him or whatever.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think it would be very easy to cut up sort of the awkward political interactions between, young people in the age of 18 to 22 in a very like negative way and make us all look a bit silly. But no, I think it definitely shows like a different side of politics. Young people trying to navigate their way through disagreement, having different ideas to their peers and convincing random people to sign up to a club or something like that. I think all those interactions are very interesting.
Talofa lover, I'm Madeline Chapman, editor at The Spinoff. If you have the means, consider supporting our high-quality journalism by becoming a Spinoff member. Sign up now at thespinoff.co.nz/donate.
Are you curious about how business can be better? I'm Simon Pound, and I host Business is Boring, a podcast where I caught it all with some of the most interesting people in entrepreneurship, commerce, and making things happen. Tune in to Business is Boring every Tuesday, brought to you by the Spinoff Podcast Network in partnership with Spark Business Lab.
And what about today? You both, as people who are still engaged in politics, both of you are still with your parties, so you haven't moved a long way. But have you? Do you see the world differently? Do you see politics differently? Is there? Because you're still pretty young people. For me, 3 years is nothing. For you, it's a lot.
Yeah, I think I've definitely changed a lot since 2020. I think the style of politics I engaged in when I was at university was very like confronting, very like student focused, very like debatey. But I think that over the last couple of years, and especially with this campaign, I've made it a personal focus of mine to try and be more conciliatory in the way I approach issues with different people. So I think it's very easy to like say someone's wrong or call someone, silly for thinking something, but I think that's not very productive in the long term. It's theatrical, but it doesn't help us get to an answer or solve any problem. That's one thing that I think I've changed from 2020.
What do you do when you go to a party and people go, oh, that's that guy from ACT, and including some other choice language, perhaps?
Yeah, well, I ask them, why they think that, and try and really understand where they're coming from, what their position is, why do they think this? And then I try and, think, well, from their perspective, what would convince them to be an ACT supporter, which is like kind of a funny way of putting it. But, that's the way I approach conversations. Or I just like, if politics isn't appropriate in that space, then I don't talk about it because sometimes it's not appropriate.
Sure. Right. How about you, Aaron? Do you see the world differently, see politics differently since 2020?
Yeah, I think so. I think you're sort of, and when you're in the youth wing, like you're really very much in the thick of it, and it's a big, I don't know, it's a power, like it's an engine. You've got to really make sure you're pumping up volunteers. You've got to be like hype queen, like get everyone pumped and stuff. So it's my role now is a little bit different, and I feel like in politics in general, I've kind of turned to focus more to policy. I read legislation and help like a team at work to look into that legislation, and I find that really interesting. And I think also speaking to people who aren't who you usually speak to in politics, and even just not like people who are in politics but discussing them, their ideas. I think that's where I've changed. Like I'm wanting to understand other people's views and also what messaging sort of resonates with them, what they understand. But then, because I think when you're in a political party or in politics, there's a different way of messaging which might not, it might not be the best for everyone. I think you can become like a bit of a hack.
Yeah.
I
fully agreed with like everything Ariana said, to be honest, that like, I think it's just such like a funny world. And I think, the way, like, for example, when I talk about politics with my friends or family, I'll talk about it in a very different way than I talk about it with people who like I meet on like the campaign trail.
Right.
Because like I think that, in order to have like a political conversation with someone where you convince them to think a different way, you've got to have that like established trust. And, if you're just meeting some random person, you don't have that rapport, you don't have that trust yet. So it's very weird to be like, oh, you should just totally believe me about the way we should go forward as a country.
Yeah, sure. Right.
Just trust me.
So instead you're doing basically you're doing a script, really. That's how it works, right? You've got your 3 bullet points that you want to hit.
Yeah, you're doing a script and you're also asking someone to trust what you say without knowing you really as a person and if you're a trustworthy person.
Have you guys caught up with or bumped into any of the other candidates, participants from your year? Who have you seen? Who have you bumped into?
Bumped into Felix at Piha. No, we actually organised a trip together with other
You went to
people.
Piha together?
Yeah, and other mates, but I'm trying to think. I've seen Jay invited me to something.
MMP.
Yeah.
Jay invited me to something.
I tried to get hold of Jay, but he didn't reply to my email or text. He was quite a personality.
Yeah, I really like Jay. I bumped into him at a bar in Auckland one night.
Yeah.
And that was good. It was good to see him.
He was organising some kind of festival in Fiji or something. He's very and he was on a foundation. Then not you sort of. He's the kind of guy who's always probably got something hatching, some plan, some project.
It's clear from, I think, the documentary, the Youth Wings episode, that he is a very, like, productive person. Like, he's always doing something. He's always, like, and I like that. I like that about Jay. I think that having people like that is great.
The other thing I just wanted to ask you is the nature of the time in that election, that happened in COVID, which is again, it's one of those things that has had a massive impact on all of us in so many lives, but it had an impact on you guys in really quite important formative years. And I imagine lots of your peers have then gone overseas, have they? And I mean, how do you reflect on the way that COVID played a part in even leaving to one side the politics thing, just in terms of your lives and your generation, what kind of imprint COVID leaves?
I feel like I almost like lost a year in a sense, that like I had like a year when I was 22 to, spend at university, like, talking to people and going to clubs and doing stuff outside. And then because of COVID, you just got like stuck inside for a year. And so I feel like I almost lost some time in a funny way. That's the way I feel about it.
Ariana?
I look back on it and I think it's like, I guess in the industry I'm in, I think it's welcomed a new way of working, and it's sort of really opened up the question about future of work, which I think really complements what younger people want, sort of that flexible working arrangement where you can work from home. You don't have to be in the office 8 till 5 every day, and I think that's something I look at being a positive product of it. But I do actually agree a little bit with Felix. There's sort of lost there, or I feel like I look back and I'm like, I actually really wanted to do a big sort of trip, like an OE sort of trip, and I wasn't able to do that. And I think a lot of people missed out on that. And I don't know, I think the way we communicate has changed a bit as well, and I don't know if it suits everyone. And I think there's sort of the people who thrived, who love to communicate in online platforms, but then maybe who people like to be meeting in person. Those opportunities haven't presented themselves as much, and there's been a growing sort of platform online.
Our time's just about up. Last question to you both. You first, Ariana.
Yes.
When we meet up again 3 years from now in the studio, what will you be doing? Will you have come back from overseas? Will you have been in Parliament? Will you still be doing the same thing? What do you reckon? You won't be held to this. You will not be held to it, so you can say whatever you like.
I really can't say. I think I will be in New Zealand. I think if I go overseas, I'll go for a couple of years and be back, because the election will bring me back. But and I have hope.
Might you be a candidate, do you think? Is that possible? Potentially. I'm keeping that open. We'll see how Felix thinks it is this time round, and we'll catch up afterwards and see what I think. Yeah. What about you, Felix? So, in the unlikely event that you're not a parliamentarian at this time, 3 years from now, what do you think you'd be doing? You'd be standing again higher up the list on it for ACT?
Oh, I don't really think about, the next 3 years too much, to be honest. I'm just pretty focused on, the election right now. I don't, when it comes to thinking about my future and what I'm going to do, I always try and do something I love. And I love, public speaking and debating. So, I'll be doing something in that space, but I don't know what it is exactly. Yeah.
Going to parties and having constructive arguments with Hey, thank you guys both so much, Ariana and Felix, for coming in. It's great to see you again. And, Youth Wings Series 2 is out now. Youth Wings Series 1 is still available on the internet to watch. So do that. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks, Toby.
We will be back shortly for a conversation with Ollie Neese from Policy Policy.nz. This is the spin-off Megapod. Thanks for listening. There's plenty more where this came from on your Gone By Lunchtime feed. Thanks to Jane, Te Aihe and Samuel and the rest of the team at the spin-off for making the Megapod happen.
This is Climate Adaptation.
We are the Pōtiki of the Taiao.
And the words of those keeping the home fires burning.
It's more than just going along and planting some trees. You got to be able to defend that place to the end of your life.
We have the solutions. We just need to come back to the belief in ourselves as rangatira.
Join me, Nadine Hura, and Ruia Āpirahama, the Ko Papa Ko Rangi Series 2, Ahi Ka. Brought to you by Te Komato o Te Tonga, the Deep South Challenge, out now on the Spin-Off Podcast Network or wherever you get your podcasts.
Kia ora e te iwi, Te Aihe Butler here, podcast manager at The Spin-Off. If you enjoy listening to our podcasts, consider supporting our mahi by signing up to become a Spin-Off member at thespinoff.co.nz/donate. The Spin-Off Podcast Network.